Dear customers, dear all people who are interested in the software solution Fleetster. In the past month, we have developed a lot of updates in new features and extensions. And since it's my job to make sure that the communication towards you gets initiated, but there are so many abstract and partially complex subjects, I effectively lost the chance of putting this all into writing, and I thought I'd try a new format. And now will offer you a little video where I will go through the highlights of the past months of the software solutions and features that we developed, and well, we'll guide you through them. I hope you like it. Today's update video will be about the fleet management product. If you're interested in more details, because there are many more extensions, improvements, and also new products, then please always check our products updates section, which is where you find everything that we do. First off, we go into the digital vehicle file and only the new parts. What we developed is the possibility for you to add tire changes, mileages, and number plates. So you can now get into a vehicle and say, I just checked the vehicle. I'm the fleet manager now, so I just checked that vehicle, or I talked to my driver, or however you find that information. By the way, if you have a telematics device installed by us, this is unnecessary. We automatically update the mileage for you. So the new mileage is 6,205. Soon we will add a time component where you can say on what date you did the check. Currently, the system assumes that this is the mileage of now. So I change it. Now the system knows there's a new mileage. And what this does is we will later go into our tasks section. And if there is a task that is only automatically created after a certain threshold has been reached. So for example, after 30,000 kilometers, this vehicle should go to a service check. So as soon as you hit that 30,000, that will immediately trigger a task. So this is one of the areas where this can be very useful. That's the one thing we changed in the digital vehicle file. There are a lot of details, but I will not go into all of those. What we also added is the cost per year that you can add, broadcasting fees and taxes and things that are generally not part of the contracts, because most financial data is already there and it's part of a contract. So let's, for example, take a leasing contract. So in a leasing contract, you have various financial components which are already tracked and then applied to the vehicle, but the other ones are not part of a contract. You don't have a contract with the tax authorities. You have to pay those fees. And that's why we added them, so that you have the complete picture to then soon have a full overview of your total cost of ownership. Next topic is procurement. I will, in this case, go quickly to how procurement works, because we have changed and added so many parts of it that it's probably worth to do a little recap. The procurement section is intended to have every single step along the path of the idea or notion that you need a new car or to replace a car in your fleet, until you finally then hand it over to the driver. And as you know, there are multiple steps, and we're trying to streamline and help you through this process. So let's assume you add a new order and you say, first of all, it's just I'm just intending to do this, and I'm now kicking off the process. So this is now where you gather most of the information. So you say, which location is this in? Is there maybe already an order number or an offer number? Probably not, because you're just creating the idea, but soon in the next steps, this will be the case. The type of usage of that vehicle is going to be a business car, which means there's a driver, and the driver is already part of my system as Mr. Max Mustermann. And he doesn't have a car yet, so I'm not replacing a vehicle. And because I'm a very big company, I have the organization feature active, and this is the organization that will be charged for this later, is the Müller Group. It's not the Fleetster South, it's the Müller Group, because Max Mustermann is part of the Müller Group. and the car will of course be electric, and he's going to get an economy-sized car. I already know which one that is. It's going to be a Bentley. Yeah, as I'm a cyclist, actually I don't know what models Bentley has, but I'm sure they have a lot of nice models. The number plate is certainly something I'll have only at the very end, but I think this gives you an idea of what you can do here. If you already know you are going to purchase this vehicle, you could already put the details for such an process. But now let's first of all save it. And then you will see that you now have the possibility to upload documents such as offers or other types of documents, and you have notes. So whenever you speak to a person or to a supplier or to anybody else, you will then have the possibility to add a note, and you can add multiple notes so that you stay on top of the whole development. And then when you move on and you say, okay, you now have 5 offers on the table from various suppliers of yours, and you are now trying to find the best one, you would change the status to requested in negotiations. And what that does is, before the car was here, but now it's here. And here's Mr. Mustermann. And if you then say, okay, I decided which partner I will go with, and I just placed the order, then it will move after you have changed it here. It will move here. So that way we have a full overview of where all your vehicles are, and you obviously can see them all in one list. And at the very end, you will pick a vehicle, and then you can decide to create that vehicle, which means it will actually get its own digital vehicle file. Yeah, it's actually putting it in your fleet, infleeting it. Only then it starts to live. This is all your process beforehand, but it's not yet part of your fleet. Once you create the vehicle, it becomes part of your fleet. Or if it's replacing another vehicle, then you can say, okay, now we take his car and we replace it with this one. Once you hit save, then the two vehicles switch. You can, of course, also create a new vehicle and then later deactivate this one. This is just doing 2 things in one go. And then you should be fine. So that's the procurement part. In contracts, we only had a small adjustment, and that is that now let's take a more complicated type of contract, such as, or actually I think insurance is a nice example. So far, the total yearly value or amount cost for this contract was connected to all its pieces, which meant that if you put 10 euros for the yearly fee and then for the driver protection and 190 for the full comprehensive, then it would add those values up and put the total here. But there was no way to change the yearly total. So it had to be the combination of all the details that you put here. So if you say, I'm interested in the fully comprehensive fee, but the rest, I don't really care. There are fees, but how they're split, not my business. But I know that the total is 650. Then our system will now accept the fact that you will have different values that the math wouldn't add up. But this one is the total yearly fee, no matter what you put here. This is more for your information, and that's really the final value. So that's the change. Before they were connected, now they're not, and you can put any value here. And obviously you can also import them. In service and repairs, we added the possibility to refer to an existing damage. So what I did here is, I'll do this again now for you because I've done it before. So I know that my new Tesla Roadster, which actually doesn't even exist yet, has a damage and I need to repair it. So there's like a new damage where now it's actually about the service or repair, and the type is I need a damage repair for this, and I can say it's the Tesla service, and I can define when I think this service should take place. Of course, I can add notes when I talk to them and they say, yeah, we'll call you back latest by that date. So there's a lot of things that you can do around it. You could already upload pictures here, but that's not necessary because the damage pictures, if we're talking about a damage, they already exist in your damages section. And what you can do now is you can connect those damages. So now the system retrieves all damages that were reported for this specific car. There are 2 scratches. And this is scratch 1 and this is scratch 2. And ideally, I would like through this damage repair, which is paint shop for 2 scratches. That's what I would like to do here. And now I can save it. And now they are connected. So I will now know that as part of this service, there are those 2 damages that will be fixed. Yeah, and that's the connection. In the fines and speeding ticket, we mainly improved the overview here. So you now have our, we call it mini analytics on top. So you can see what's necessary to do. And there's 7 open fines that have not been fully clarified yet or are disputed. Let's just do a quick run through what fines actually do. So when there's a new fine, it would be stated to new, and you would try to find the right driver. If there's a reason to dispute that thing, then that's what you need to do, and then you should comment it. And searching for a driver is only necessary for companies who do not use Fleetster for their pool cars, because searching driver shouldn't be hard for a business car because there's just one driver normally reported. Unless the pictures don't look like the, but yeah, there are multiple reasons why that might not be the person, but the most frequent one is pool cars. But in Fleetster, if you are managing your pool cars with Fleetster, you just need to put the date and time, and the system will tell you which or who booked the vehicle at that time. And then you know immediately who should receive the fine. And you can then send a notification email, which you at the moment cannot individualize. So it's just notifying them. So possibly you would want to call them up and let them know. And yeah, next one would be probably to put a note here and then set it to forward it to the driver. And then that's pretty much it for the fleet manager. In task management, we have combined the assigned task and the task rules. The difference is that an assigned task is a single activity that's assigned to a specific person, and there are various tasks that can happen. The task rules, however, are based on either a time component, where you could say, for example, every year, every month, or whatever, and you can also combine it with a mileage. So if you say at 30,000 kilometers, each of our vehicles should go to a service checkup. Or you say for all our Volkswagen vehicles, 30,000, for all of our BMWs at 40,000. We'll get through this just for you to see. So if you have a single individual task, you would give it a title and say, please send me the latest mileage. We will soon also have a feature where something like mileage change is actually an interface where in the app they can immediately put in the mileage. Obviously, if you use Fleetster telematics, this wouldn't be necessary because then we already know the mileage. So if I want to know the mileage, then it's actually a check. I'd say priority is probably medium. Mandatory, not really. Document upload, not at the moment. So soon there will be actually an input field, but that's a different story. So I can now pick a location and say this is for all cars in this location. You can say I pick a vehicle for a specific vehicle, but you can also pick a user which will end up with the same vehicle, possibly. So let's say I want this task to be done for this car or those 2 cars. I can then assign it to a special user. So I could also have somebody of my fleet management team who I want to execute this task to check the mileages, but I could actually also select the driver, him or herself. And and then I can say, hey, you get 24 hours to complete this. And then they get reminded. The next one is the trigger. So you could say you want this to be at a certain point in time. And you could also add a next task. And then you can say that you want an email and a push notification to be sent. And that would then be assigned to the system. The next one, so this was, sorry, I started with the task rule. So this was a rule-based. Now I do an individual task. So here you go through a similar interface and you would assign certain tasks to users. And if they use the Fleetster app, then they would get a push notification and they would be asked to complete the task. And after that, they can also set a task to done, or if they don't use the app, the administrators can set it to done if they got the confirmation that the task was done indeed. I hope you liked the format and our new features. I hope it will save you a lot of time and give some new inspirations and impulses for changes that you might want to then integrate into your fleet management processes. Maybe let's use this point to give you a little outlook. At the moment, we are working heavily on reportings, especially those that are data driven. So at the moment, we are trying to check gasoline consumption per vehicle and how you can identify outliers and then interact with the people responsible. We have a utilization report where, in an anonymous way, you could see which vehicles are moving at all. That's particularly interesting for large pool car fleets where you suspect that you could do the same amount of mobility with less vehicles. So that's where this will be very useful. And in addition, we will have a feature that helps you with planning your charging infrastructure for future electric vehicles. And of course, we're working on several other subjects, but that's just the focus of what we have at the moment. So I hope you liked what you saw today. If you did, then I'll probably keep this format. All the best, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.